Hey everybody, welcome back. These are the films that we loved of 1947, from Hollywood's greatest to Hollywood's crappiest, to the movies that you forgot about, to the movies that you love. These are the movies that we loved of 1947. Let's check them out. First up we have is Holiday Camp. The Hudgett family go to a holiday camp and get involved in a cricket, card players, a murder on the run, and a pregnant young girl and her boyfriend missing from home. Holiday Camp. 13 Room Madeline. When Spy Chief Bob Sharkey finds out one of his agents in training is actually a Nazi double agent, his strategic decision not to arrest him results in tragedy. 13 Room Madeline. A Double Life. A celebrated actor struggles to distinguish his own life from that of his most recent stage role, Othello. A Double Life. Next up we have is Angel and the Bad Man. Drama, romance, and western. Court Evans, an all-around bad guy, is nursed back to health and sought after by Penelope Worth, a Quaker girl. Drama, romance, and western. Angel and the Bad Man. Black Narcissus. Drama. A group of nuns struggle to establish a convent in the Himalayas, while isolation, extreme weather, altitude, and culture clashes all conspire to drive the well-intentioned missionaries mad. Blaze of Noon. In the 1920s, four brothers fly for the fledgling U.S. Air Mail Service. Action, drama, and war. Blaze of Noon. Next up we have is the classic Boomerang. Crime, drama, and film noir. The true story of a prosecutor's fight to prove the innocence of a man accused of a notorious murder. Boomerang. Next up we have the classic Brighton Rock. Crime, drama, and film noir. In Brighton in 1935, small-time gang leader Pinky murders a journalist and later desperately tries to cover his tracks, but runs into trouble with the police. Brighton Rock. Brute Force. At a tough penitentiary, prisoner Joe Collins plans to rebel against Captain Muncie, the power-mad chief guard. Crime, drama, and film noir. Next up we have is the comedy classic duo Bud Abbott and Lou Costello in Buck Privates Come Home. Two ex-soldiers return from overseas, one of them having smuggled into the country a French orphan girl he has become attached to. Little Evie. Buck Privates Come Home. Bush Christmas. In Australia, 5 children pursue horse thieves through the mountains. Bush Christmas. Action, adventure, and comedy. Next up we have is the classic thriller, drama, and western, California. Epic account of how California became a state, featuring a wagon train, the gold rush, a wicked saloon queen, and an evil profiteer. California. Next up we have is Captain from Castle. The invasion of Mexico by Cortez, as seen by a young Spanish officer fleeing the Inquisition. Captain from Castile. What did I say, Castle? Castile. Carnegie Hall. A mother wants her son to grow up to be a pianist good enough to play at Carnegie Hall, but when older the son prefers to play with Von Moore's orchestra. Carnegie Hall. Cheyenne. Wells Fargo stages are being robbed by the poet, and no one can find out who he is. Cheyenne. Drama and western. Code of the West. Knowing the railroad is coming, Carter is after the rancher's land. Bob and Cheeto return just in time to save Banker Stockton and his money from Carter's men. Western. Code of the West. Crossfire. A man is murdered, apparently by one of the group of demobilized soldiers he met in a bar. But which one and why? Crossfire. Crime, drama, and film noir. Cry Wolf. Recently widowed Sandra Demarest arrives at the isolated home of her late husband for his wake, but his uncle will not allow her to view the corpse. Crossfire. Daisy Kenyon. A commercial artist having an affair with a married attorney becomes involved with a returning soldier and must choose between the two. Drama and romance. Daisy Kenyon. Dark Passage. A man convicted of murdering his wife escapes from prison and works with a woman to try and prove his innocence. Dark Passage. Next up we have is the classic thriller, Dead Reckoning. Crime, drama, film noir, and thriller. A soldier returns away rather than receive the Medal of Honor, so his buddy gets permission to investigate, and the love and death soon follow. Dead Reckoning. Dear Ruth. A family is befuddled when a World War II serviceman shows up to meet and marry his pen pal sweetheart. Everyone's in the dark about the romance by mail. Dear Ruth. Desert Fury. The daughter of a Nevada casino owner gets involved with a racketeer despite everyone's efforts to separate them. Desert Fury. Next up we have is Desperate. A young married couple flee both police and a gangster out for revenge. Desperate. Dick Tracy meets Gruesome. Dick Tracy goes up against a villain who robs banks using nerve gas. Down to Earth. Upset about a new Broadway musical mockery of Greek mythology, the goddess Terpsichore comes down to Earth and lands a part in the show. Down to Earth. The Egg and I, comedy and romance. On their wedding night, Bob reveals to Betty that he has purchased an abandoned chicken farm. Betty struggles to adapt to their new rural lifestyle, especially when a glamorous neighbor sees them for who they are. Escape Me Never. Errol Flynn stars as Sebastian Dubrock, a penniless composer who marries a young widow with a baby son, although he is in love with his brother's fiancée. Escape Me Never. Fiesta. When a matador leaves town to focus on his music, his twin sister takes on his identity in the bullfighting ring. Fiesta. Next up we have is The Sin of Harold Diddlebach. 20 years after his triumphs as a freshman on the football field, Harold is a mild-mannered clerk who dreams about marrying the girl at the desk down the aisle. The Sin of Harold Diddlebach. Forever Amber. In 17th century England, Amber St. Clair aims to raise herself from country girl to nobility. Forever Amber. Next thing we have is For the Love of Rusty. Danny Mitchell, feeling that he has been misunderstood by his parents, takes his dog Rusty and leaves home. For the Love of Rusty. Next up we have is the crime, drama, and film noir Framed. Mike Lambert, seeking a mining job, instead becomes the patsy for a femme fatale scheme. Framed. Next up we have is Funny and Fancy Free. Jimmy Cricket hosts 2 Disney animated shorts, Bongo about a circus bear escaping to the wild, and Mickey and the Beanstalk, a take on the famous fairy tale. Fun and fancy free. Gentleman's Agreement. A reporter pretends to be Jewish in order to cover a story on anti-Semitism, and personally discovers the true depths of bigotry and hatred. Gentleman's Agreement. Golden Earrings. On the eve of World War II, a British spy goes to Germany to obtain a secret poison gas formula from a scientist, but things go awry, and he is saved by a beautiful, nomadic gypsy woman. Good News. Golden Globe winner June Allison and Peter Lawford star in this enjoyable musical about a football hero who falls in love with his French tutor. Good News. Grand Casino. A prison escapee becomes involved with an independent oil well owner threatened by corporate thugs. Grand Casino, drama and musical. Next up we have is the adventure, drama, and romance, Green Dolphin Street. A young man loved by 2 sisters becomes a naval officer and sails to New Zealand, where he drunkenly writes a marriage proposal to the wrong sister. Green Dolphin Street. Gunfighters. Drama and western. Gunfighter Brazos Kane takes a job on a ranch, but he is unjustly accused of killing fellow cowhand Bob Tyrell. Gunfighter. It happened on Fifth Avenue. Two homeless men move into a mansion while its owners are wintering in the South. It happened on Fifth Avenue. Heaven only knows. An angel is sent to Earth to help a saloon owner and gambler save his soul. Heaven only knows. Next up we have is the classic comedy Honeymoon. A prospective bride and groom have misadventures in Mexico City. Honeymoon. Featuring you-know-who, Shirley Temple. The Hucksters. World War II veteran wants to return to advertising on his own terms, but finds it's difficult to be successful and maintain his integrity. The Hucksters. Next up we have is I Walk Alone. Frankie Madison leaves prison expecting a share from his ex-partner, but prohibition bootlegging didn't prepare Frankie for big business. I Walk Alone. Killer McCoy. Following a mishap in the ring, hard-nosed, lightweight Tommy Killer McCoy gets mixed up with a big-time gambler and falls for his educated daughter, Sheila. Drama. Killer McCoy. Kiss of Death. Nick Bianco is caught during a botched jewelry heist. The prosecution offer him a more lenient sentence if he squeals on his accomplices, but he doesn't roll over on them. Kiss of Death. Lady in the Lake. The lady editor of a crime magazine hires Philip Marlowe to find the wife of her boss. The private detective soon finds himself involved in murder. Next up we have is Law of the Lash. U.S. Marshal goes undercover to clean up town run by bandits. Featuring Lash LaRue. Drama and Western. Next up we have is Life with Father. A straight-laced turn-of-the-century father presides over a family of boys and the mother who really rules the roost. Comedy and family. Life with Father. Living in a Big Way. Leo Gorgardi marries Margoud Morgan after a whirlwind romance just before shipping out to war. Upon his return, he is surprised to discover that his bride is not what she led him to believe. Living in a Big Way. Lured. Crime drama. British police officer area after a serial killer who lures his female victims through newspaper personal ads and sends cryptic poems clues the street. Miracle on 34th Street. Total classic. After a divorced New York mother hires a nice old man to play Santa Claus at Macy's, she is startled by his claim that he is the genuine Santa Claus. Monsieur Verdoux. A suave but cynical man supports his family by marrying and murdering rich women for their money. But the job has some occupational hazards. Monsieur Verdoux, if I'm saying it right. Moss Rose. Set in turn-of-the-century London, a woman trying to solve the mystery of a friend's murder finds that she may be the next victim. Moss Rose. Mother Wore Tights. In the chronicle of a vaudeville family, Myrtle McKinley goes to San Francisco to attend business school, but ends up in a chorus line. Mother Wore Tights. Morning Becomes Electra. Drama. Eugene O'Neill's updated version of the Orestesia set in New England after the American Civil War. Morning Becomes Electra. Comedy. My Favorite Brunette. Comedy, crime, and mystery. Shortly before his execution on death row in San Quentin, amateur sleuth and baby photographer Ronnie Jackson tells reporters how he got there. My Favorite Brunette. My Wild Irish Rose. The life of Irish tenor Chauncey Olcott is chronicled from his childhood to his days as the toast of New York. Biography and musical. My Wild Irish Rose. New Orleans. A gambling hall owner relocates from New Orleans to Chicago and entertains his patrons with hot jazz by Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, Woody Herman, and others. New Orleans. News hounds. Working for the New York Daily Chronicle, Slip and the boys seek to expose rumored gamblers fixing sports events. The Bowery Boys. Comedy and Family. News hounds. Nora Prentice. A doctor spins an ever-growing web of lies after a taste of the excitement that he was missing in his conventional life, thanks to a chance meeting with a nightclub singer. Nora Prentice. Odd Man Out. A wounded Irish nationalist leader attempts to evade police following a failed robbery in Belfast. Odd Man Out. Next up we have is the classic Out of the Past, crime drama and film noir. A private eye escapee is passed to run a gas station in a small town, but his past catches up with him. Now he must return to the big world of danger and corruption and double-cross. Possessed. After being found wandering the streets of Los Angeles, a severely catatonic woman tells a doctor the complex story of how she wound up there. Possessed. Hard-boiled Mahoney. Mistaken for a detective, Slip takes on the case of a missing woman, which turns out to be bogus. The Bowery Boys. Hard-boiled Mahoney. Next up we have is Variety Girl. Almost everyone under contract to Paramount Pictures at the time made cameos or performed songs with particularly large amounts of screen time featuring Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. Variety Girl. Pursued. A boy haunted by nightmares about the night his entire family was murdered is brought up by a neighboring family in the 1880s. Pursued. Next up we have is the adventure classic Queen of the Amazons. A woman's husband has disappeared on an expedition into the jungle. She hires a guide to take her into the jungle to find him. Queen of the Amazons. The Red House. An old man and his sister are concealing a terrible secret from their adopted teen daughter concerning a hidden abandoned farmhouse located deep in the woods. The Red House. Ride the Pink Horse. World War II veteran Lucky Gagan arrives in a New Mexico border town intent on revenging against mobster Frank Hugo, but FBI agent Bill Retz, who also wants Hugo, has other plans. Road to Rio. Two inept mobilians stow away on a Brazilian-bound ocean liner and foil a plot by a sinister hypnotist to marry off her niece. Road to Rio. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. A clumsy daydreamer gets caught up in a sinister conspiracy. Comedy, fantasy, and romance. Next up we have is the classic action, adventure, and crime, Singapore. After World War II, an American skipper returns to Singapore to retrieve his hidden stash of pearls and finds his lost fiancée, who now has amnesia. Next up we have is Smash Up, the story of a woman. A successful nightclub singer weds a struggling songwriter, but when his fame eclipses hers, she delves into alcoholism. Smash Up, the story of a woman. Song of the Thin Man. Comedy, crime, and musical. Nick and Nora Charles are on the gambling boat when someone is murdered. The two main suspects are at large and come to Nick for help. Song of the Thin Man. Spoilers of the North. When the Alaska fishing season ends, a cricket cannery owner who owes a huge delivery of salmon to a Seattle company manipulates local natives who have unlimited fishing rights. Spoilers of the North. Suddenly, it's spring. Fred wants to start a new life with a new wife, but it isn't easy to give Paulette the gate for another mate. Suddenly, it's spring. The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer is a must. Cary Grant and Shirley Temple. A high school girl falls for a Playboy artist with screwball results. The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer. 10 out of 10 stars on that one. That Way with Women. A bored automobile industry tycoon assumes a false identity, buys a half interest in a gas station, and plays matchmaker for his daughter. That way with women. That Hagen girl. Mary Hagen lives in a small town in Ohio and goes to Jordan Junior College. For years, there have been whispers, rumors, and gossip about who her real parents are. That Hagen girl. The Other Love. Seriously ill concert pianist Karen Duncan is admitted to a Swiss sanatorium. Despite being attracted to Dr. Tony Stanton, she ignores his warnings of possibly fatal consequences. The Other Love. The Sea of Grass. On American's frontier, a St. Louis woman marries a New Mexico cattleman who was seen as a tyrant by the locals. The Sea of Grass. The classic of all time, 10 of 10, 10 out of 10 stars, The Bishop's Wife, Cary Grant. A debonair angel comes to earth to help an Episcopalian bishop and his wife in their quest to raise money for the new church. The Farmer's Daughter. After leaving her family's farm to study nursing in the city, a young woman finds herself on an unexpected path towards politics. Next up we have is the classic drama and history, The Fugitive. Anti-Catholic and anti-cleric policies in the Mexican state of Tabasco lead the revolutionary government to persecute the state's last remaining priest. The Fugitive. The Gangster, crime drama and film noir. Shabuka is a cynical gangster who controls the Neptune Beach waterfront. He runs a numbers racket with the local soda pop owner, the gangster. The Lady from Shanghai. Fascinated by gorgeous Miss Bannister, seaman Michael O'Hara joins a bizarre yachting cruise and ends up mired in a complex murder plot. The Lady from Shanghai. The Macomber Affair. In British East Africa, a fatal triangle develops involving a frustrated wife, a weak and coward husband, and an English big game hunter who comes between the couple. The Man I Love. A homesick, no-nonsense lounge singer decides to leave New York City to spend some time visiting her two sisters and brother on the West Coast, and eventually falling in love. The Man I Love. The Paradigm Case. A happily married London barrister falls in love with the accused poisoner he is defending. The Paradigm Case. Crime, drama, and romance. The Two Miss Carols. Crime, drama, and film noir. An artist forms an attachment with a woman on holiday in the country. As the relationship develops, his behavior and information about his past cause her increasing concern. The Unfaithful. A Los Angeles socialite kills a man while home alone one night and claims he was an intruder she did not know. Crime drama film noir The Unfaithful. The Unsuspected. The secretary of an affable, suave radio mystery host mysteriously commits suicide after his wealthy young niece disappears. The Unsuspected. The Upturned Glass. A British brain surgeon punishes the murderess of his lover. The Upturned Glass. Crime and drama. Next up we have is the classic crime drama, The Web. An attorney acting as a bodyguard apparently kills a man in defense of his employer's life, and later believes the victim was set up to be murdered. The Web. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. In 1900, a young widow finds her seaside cottage is haunted and forms a unique relationship with the ghost. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Comedy, drama, and fantasy. The Shocking Miss Pilgrim. In the late 1800s, Miss Pilgrim, a young typist, becomes the first female employee at a Boston shipping office. Comedy, musical, and romance. The Shocking Miss Pilgrim. This time for keeps. Musical and romance. Expected to follow his opera star father into the business, but discontent with his life, a young man pursues a career in popular music. This time for keeps. Till the Clouds Roll By, biography of songwriter and Broadway pioneer Jerome Kern. Unable to find immediate success in the U.S., Kern sought recognition abroad. Till the Clouds Roll By. Tycoon, featuring John Wayne, adventure, drama, and romance. In South America, an American engineer is asked by his boss to build a mountain railroad tunnel following a shorter but more dangerous route. Unconquered, intrepid frontiersman Chris Holden foils the political and personal ambitions of renegade Martin Garth in the Ohio Valley following the French and Indian War. Unconquered. Under the Tonto Rim. When the Tonto Rim gang attack Brad's stagecoach, they take the strong box and kill one of his workers. Drama and Western. Under the Tonto Rim. Bob Hope, Where There's Life. Comedy and thriller. The American son of an Eastern European monarch, wounded in an assassination attempt, becomes a target for a terrorist organization. The Wistful Widow of Wagon Gap, featuring Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, comedy and western. Chester and Duke are traveling salesmen who make a stopover in Wagon Gap. The Wistful Widow of Wagon Gap. Those were the films that we love of 1947. What do you think about 1947 for Golden Hollywood? All the famous actors are there. There's some duds in there. There's some really good ones, some sleeper ones in there that will surprise you. But what I love about the movies from the 30s and the 40s, and right now we're in 1947, it's all dialogue. There's no special effects. There's no explosions. There's no CGI. It's just great directing, great acting from all supporting characters, lead and supporting actors, and just the writing is just incredible on all of these movies. Yes, there are some duds, but in essence, in the 40s, 50s, and on, as you will see, it's all acting and all great screenwriting, screenplay. Alright, those were the films that we loved in 1947. I'm Tony. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on any films that I possibly missed or that you want to comment about of 1947. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.